What's good, family? I'm your host, Reggie Coleman. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and be sure to listen to us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Peace.
I'm making plays. 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 I'm making Playmaker, playmaker, playmaker.
Playmaker, 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 playmaker.
What's good, family? This is the Playmaker podcast. I'm your host, Reggie Coleman.
Co-host DJ Bean. Y'all clowns.
Yo, they
man.
always laugh.
Terrible, man.
Now, but it's Keita for now. I might change it.
It's been a while. It's been 5 months, since you last saw our face. Me and Quan did an interview 5 months ago. Keita was about 6 months ago. But today we have a special guest, TCPA. I got to remember that.
That's the name
New
of it.
girls head coach, Sherika Salmon.
Big Reek
Or is it
in the
Salmon?
building.
Or Salmon.
However you
the clap
pronounce
at?
it, you're
Nah, but this been a long time coming, I've been meaning to get with Sherika for a while before she got this coaching job. When she was the head assistant, when they was top, what was y'all, 15 in the country?
We were 9.
10?
We were 9.
yeah. Get your facts straight, my dude.
I ain't do my research all the
yeah.
way. But thank you for joining us, letting us into your space. But we just happy you on the show.
Welcome. I'm happy to be here.
So let's get right into it. What went into your decision to become the head coach at TCPA, where we know the pandemic had your players that you had previously transferred? What was the thought process going into accepting this job?
Yeah, honestly, it was pretty much just basketball's always been my way of giving back. And for me, the program, obviously, well-reputable program for a number of years with Coach Khalik, everyone that was there prior to him, everyone that played there. It's just always been a history, and I just couldn't sit back and just let the program, fall once Bob and I, decided to resign based on everything that was, going on. Once I got word that the school was actually going to remain open for a while, then, I knew it was time to go back and, continue to basically just do God's work, honestly.
God's plan. So, as the head coach, what are you looking for in coaches that you bring on with you? And also, what are you looking for in players that you're going to potentially bring in?
Yeah, definitely trying to keep up a legacy that was already built. So, coaches definitely have to be on the same, winning mentality, good attitude, likable, for kids, especially this day and age. Kids is hard to coach, hard to be around. So they just definitely have to be a likable coach. And then players, just kids that are ready to be developed, ready to, play hard. Like the school name itself sells itself. So, kids will always come in, but they just have to understand that, it also comes with a lot because of who you play for and where you are. You're always under a microscope. And, honestly, not every kid can handle that.
That's a fact. What can kids that want to come to the school or are at the school now can take from you? Like, what do you bring to this for a kid to want to come to TCP? Because there's a lot of schools that have kids that are already established. What make kids want to come?
Yeah, honestly, it's a high caliber program. Our reputation speaks for itself with what we've accomplished, what we've done. In the last 4 years, we've placed over 20 girls in Division I at the Division I level. We haven't had a player that hasn't received a full scholarship that has played for us. So, I think that in itself speaks volume. Yes, there's many programs. Yes, there's many schools, but not that placement is important and
Yeah, for sure.
and not everyone has that. And it's not just about basketball as well. It's also about education. I push that. I have my master's degree. I'm real big on that. The two go hand in hand. So, you're not just going to come there and just play basketball. You also have to be a good student.
That's important. That's definitely
Student
important.
athlete, that's what they say usually. I didn't know you had your master's. Congrats to that. I'm about to get mine. But it's not about me today.
Shout out to Reg. Okay, you got to put that back
It's to
in
go
there.
get the
You
masters
heard?
for me. It's to go get the masters in the pandemic.
No, I had
for
to
me.
throw that
That's tough.
in. No, it was
That's
easy.
a whole nother
But
episode.
talking about you've had kids go to get scholarships, all of them. So coming into TCPA, potential students, potential athletes, what can they look for as far as worth ethic? Like, what are you going to have them doing early on to build that, like you said, build on that reputation, but also build a certain type of team that you want, a culture? How can they approach that when they come in? Like, what should be their mindset?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, my mindset with a program, I always run it like college, how a college program is, so that's why I say, like, we implement study halls, on the education side of things. We have tutors available. We implement people to help you prepare for SATs and every other test and ACTs that, come about, if they even still exist in a year or two from now, because I heard they might cancel them. So on the education side of things, we always have teachers that, that are there, that are willing to stay over and help extra after school, one-on-one tutorings, which is very important these days, on that side of thing. And then on the basketball side of things, it's the same thing. Like, we have weight room, we have an entire weight room. We have a trainer on site. Most schools don't have that. We have a trainer that's there every single day that you can, handpick and work out with, on strength and agility stuff. We have one-on-ones. We're going to be running camps this summer as well. It's just gonna be a lot of developing all around.
Well, he's like, I play baseball.
I'm just saying. I was about to get into that. So I played multiple sports. It's not about me. But will you let your players play a different sport?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's important. A lot of our players now and in the past, like, they've always done track at the school, and I think it's very important because, one, it builds character, and and also it brings a different element to the school where you're just not a one-dimensional player. And honestly, like, we've had basketball players that received full ride on track scholarships. Like, we have a kid now, Nisha Lewis. She's at Rutgers on a full track scholarship, Division I program. She didn't go for basketball; she went for track. But she played basketball for us for 4 years and also did track. So I think it's always important because you get to open up and you get to see, like, which one do you really want to do. Because I'm realistic; not everyone's gonna go Division I in basketball. Right. It's just not gonna happen. You're gonna have your D2s, you're gonna have your D3s. Right. But to have a kid come in and play basketball for 4 years, and then make it Division I track, that's also speaks volume for the school. So.
That's definitely key. And that's important. I think it's important if you play a different sport. You have so much pressure playing basketball. So playing a different sport is very helpful. I think if you can get to college for free, whether it's basketball, soccer, golf, tennis, lacrosse, academics, anything, because the student loan debt is serious.
You're buying and stop playing.
Biden, what's up? Talk to me. Nice.
So I want to backtrack because I jumped the gun. Let's talk about you a little bit. Your upbringing, what sports you played.
No.
Very rude. Very rude.
Play me right now.
He said lifestyle. You said trash. I'm like, well, dang.
Nah, me and Sherika got a basketball beef, but we were both retired now. That's been since we was young. That's just a tidbit right there.
Like I was saying, where'd you go to high school? What sports did you play growing up? Like, what got you into basketball?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in Trenton. I went to Junior 3. I think that's where I was first introduced to basketball back then. At West Trenton, Junior 3, playing at Westward and, all that stuff. Beating up on Keita a couple times when we were younger.
Yeah.
You heard?
Stop.
Yeah.
Talk
then,
your ish.
After that, I mean, we played Keita, what was the name of our AAU team back then? What is it, Capital City?
We played for the Hoopettes.
No, what was with Joe?
The
yeah. I don't know the name of that.
Yeah, so we did
play with them.
Yeah, so
sorry, baby.
So we had that AAU team, so growing up, just dibbling and dabbling that a little bit. Going to a bunch of different trainings, like, training with Khalid, training with Greg, Greg Grant, a couple different, people in the area. And then, when it was time for high school, my mom actually, purchased a house in Hamilton, and it was around the corner from Hamilton West. So she was just like, instead of me paying for private school, you just go to Hamilton West. And, it was a good decision. I had a great 4 years there. We had a really good team, in the area back then. I think Mercer County basketball back then was actually way more competitive.
I agree.
Way better. I didn't even play that much.
Yeah, way more competitive than it is today. So people from that era, it was the rivalries: Hamilton, Trenton Catholic, Trenton High, Ewing, Nottingham. You had players in every school that was good. So, and then I was able to get a scholarship. I played, at St.Peters Division I program, and
out the peasy, man.
it was good from there on.
Before I get to St. Peters, you talking about competitive in Mercer County. What do you think has to happen for it to get back to the level it was 10 years ago or whatever it was?
Honestly, I think it has to start with younger kids. I just think we're the way society is right now. Every kid just wants to be inside on their iPads. There's no one that really wants to be outside, and honestly, there's just not enough recreation programs for these kids to start with anyway. When I grew up, we had Weed and Seed. The Westward was open all the time.
Yep.
Boys and Girls Club.
Shout
out to Pop.
YMCA.
Yeah, YMCA. Everything was open, and they really pushed sports. Now you really don't see that. You ride around even in the city of Trenton, a lot of stuff is closed down. It's just not enough opportunities in the city itself. So a lot of kids really don't have, anywhere to go. And you can't say, go outside, because with the violence in the city, not every kid, not everyone want to go to the parks anymore. So all around, it just has to be more programs in the city and just more locations, more facilities, more things for them to do. And then I think it would change, and you would see a lot more kids, re-engage in the sports.
Speaking of camps and whatnot, my bad if you had.
No, I'm saying that's exactly true, because I remember growing up, I used to go to the Ewing and play basketball outside and practice with my dad. I'd be riding past courts with no kids out there.
Yeah. Moody Park used to be lit, boy.
Everybody out there with their parents or something, and it's just not the same. It's just not the same. Just a different era.
Speaking of camps, I saw you post something where you and Keisha have a camp, or is it a camp or a league coming up? Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, it's a basketball camp. We're actually doing it at TCPA this summer for 2 weeks. It's a partnership that Lakeisha and I have done. Just to actually bring back a camp where there's, legit basketball players that actually played that are, there, and kids can, get that opportunity to train. A lot of people want to train with Keisha throughout the year.
Correct.
They don't always get that chance. So I think it's, it's
Perfect
a good opportunity,
yeah,
to come back and, and be able to just, give back and run a camp, in our town. A lot of people that make it, they disappear afterwards. They don't run camps. There's nothing going on. So just to be able to do that, and shout out to Keisha, because she really tries to, stay engaged, and, shout out to Fan Favorite Club. A lot of kids, that's a training facility where a lot of kids have been going to training, speaking of not having a place to go. And I just think that stuff is very important right now.
That's true. Keisha doing big things at that Fan Favorite Club, and the kids are actually getting better.
Yes.
No shade to no other trainers, but I done been there a couple times. I done seen
that was all
players.
shade.
I done seen the players, and I done seen their development, because Keisha, sometimes she take them. I done played with some of the girls, and I'm like, man, I see you ain't have a left at some point. Now you. And more realistic drills that kids need to know. I feel like nowadays these kids watching a lot of Steph Curry. No knock on Steph Curry, but y'all got to know he been training for that, shooting threes like that since he was young. Yeah. He didn't just wake up at 17, 18, like, okay, I'm going to shoot threes from 30, and that's just how I'm going to do it. It takes a lot of work to get there. So it's important that you find a training facility like that. So, yeah, I wish it was more, and I see Keisha trying to work for that, and you as well. So that's big.
And to piggyback on that, there's a lot of trainers out here that's just in it for the money. They don't really care if the kid gets better. They want that quick payout. Kid may work on things that they're never doing a game, or they're just not getting better. And it's just when does it stop? And I'm glad, like Keita said, I'm glad y'all doing it, because I know I've been there a couple of times. I know y'all got trainers in there who know what they doing, know what they talking about, doing drills that for sure are making kids better. or even high school players
It's
and
realistic.
college players. Keep it going.
Very realistic.
Yeah, so I commend y'all for that. St. Peters, they had a run this March Madness.
Amazing.
How did you feel as an alum seeing that run that they went on?
Yeah, man, that was amazing for the school. For the community altogether. St. Peters is like, we always say, like, it's like a joke. We always say, like, oh, it ain't easy at St. Peasy. For everyone that went there.
I'm gonna cut that out. That was weak.
For everyone that went there, they know what it means. Like, it was just a environment that got like overlooked.
Peasy was
small
crazy.
School. Yeah, small school, private university.
Yep.
So for them to like go on a big run like that and play these top schools in the country and beat them, like, that's huge for that small overlooked school that do not have a lot of funding.
Correct.
So that was major for the school. I mean, shout out to those guys. They really had a great year. So that's why.
How was your time at St. Peters as a student? Like, beyond, I know you was on the team as well, but just as a student, how was your time there?
It was good. Like I said, the classrooms are small, private university. You get, more time with your teachers. It's like going to a private high school.
Correct.
The ratio teacher to student is small. The environment's good. Everyone knows each other. It's more like a family atmosphere. So I liked it a lot. And I mean, it afforded me a lot of opportunities. I mean, my first job coming out of St. Peters, I got a job at the Hudson County Prosecutor's Office, and I would never got that if I wasn't a St. Peters alumni, because another former alumni made a connection for me. So, like I said, being that it's just a small, tight-knit family and, everyone knows who you are, like, people really look out for each other, and that's important.
So I have a question.
Okay.
No, I'm serious. So
No,
a lot of people know what you do. A lot of people don't. But the career that you have now, how are you going to be able to balance that with being a full-time head coach? Like, do you have a plan? I mean, I know you just ain't going to wing it. You hope you shouldn't do that. But what are your intentions on being a full-time head coach now with the career you have?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm busy. My schedule is very, very busy. No taking away from that. Obviously my career is always going to come first and foremost. I just think it's going to be important on who my staff is. My staff is going to be very important because it has to be people that I trust and people that I can trust to, really facilitate everything, even if I have to run out or if I'm not there. That's what's just going to be most important. And it takes a village, so whoever I do bring on, I'm going to have to be able to trust them and know that, they'll be exactly how I am. And, and if anything, if I can't be there, whatever the case may be, then they'll be able to pick up on it. But my office has been very supportive. They know all about me going to coach, and they support it 100%. Like, my prosecutor is great. He's one of like the biggest advocate for the community and doing stuff in the community. So this is nothing different for him, and my chief, same thing. So it was very easy for them to say yes to it. So with their support, with their support, I think I can, make it work. But like I said, my staff is also going to be very important as well.
Gotcha.
That's key.
How beneficial was it to coach under Bob? I knew you guys had a partnership there, but what did you learn from him, and what will you take from that learning experience to how you coach?
Man, honestly, Bob's a genius. He's a basketball IQ genius. Like, I have never been around anyone with that IQ in my life. And that's just like factually speaking. Like, the way he like draws up plays, the way he studies the game, like he implements systems, and he has a gift. Like, it's truly a gift because not a lot of people have that. Like, honestly, like, he can be an NBA coach tomorrow and they will be very successful. And he's always been successful. And, that's one thing that I learned and I picked up on, around him, is just the way he like draw plays. He's very patient. He's very understanding. And like I said, he's just a basketball genius. So that's just something that, I've developed by being under him. Like, all right, game situations, games on the line, you're down 2. What do you do? You're up 10 with 3 minutes left. What do you do? What system do you run in? And that stuff is very, very important, especially like, in coaching like high developed teams and, high level players. Cause you guys know the game can change in an instant.
Yeah, for sure.
So that type of stuff is, something that, I really learned underneath them. And that's something that, I hope to carry on. If you don't join me, you might join me. We don't know. I'm
Never
working
know.
on it.
Yeah, for sure.
So what are some realistic goals coming into this upcoming season? I'm not sure if you got players coming in yet or not, but what are some goals that you have as a team? And if you don't have an answer for it, just say that, because it's early on in the process. But what's your goals coming into this upcoming season, depending on who you get in? Like you said, you know high-level players. You had success bringing them in. So what are some goals you have for this season?
Yeah, honestly, I mean, the number one goal is obviously just to get the kids better. And then, we have like 3 kids there that are, pretty good. And, my number one goal for them is just to continue to develop them. They're young. They're only sophomores. So developing them and, bringing in pieces that can complement them and, and then hopefully, make a run. I'm not going to say we're going to go undefeated because I don't know what we have yet.
Right.
But, definitely to be over 500, definitely to, be successful and, definitely to just bring back, that caliber winning culture, to the school.
I believe you will.
I appreciate that.
We cheering you on, for real. We cheering you on.
High school sports is what I've seen, and I've coached D2 at some point, and it's just a different scenario now. It's a different vibe. Social media plays a big part in how some of these kids want to be recruited.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, when we played ball, Khalik had colleges coming to Dolly Holmes, and we was excited and we was happy, and that gave us excitement. But now it's like the recruitment you're gonna have to do for some of these kids is gonna be very interesting.
Yes,
very interesting. But you're not old, so you still cool. So I feel like you can pull it off.
Right.
You can pull it off, but it's gonna be tough because, like you said, a lot of kids don't want that pressure. It's pressure. I went to TCA at some point in my life. I played a little bit, and it was just pressure in itself. Even if you wasn't the star player, just you went there, like it's just it comes with stuff. So I feel like you'll get the right kids if they want to be better and if they want to be successful.
Speaking of social media, a lot of kids nowadays, they don't get their way. They're not playing enough. They looking to transfer.
Facts.
What advice or what can you say to that? Like, do you think they should stick it out, see where it goes, then don't leave after a year? Or do you think it's just like, do what you feel is right for you, even though they didn't see it all the way through?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's tough because,
kid by kid.
Yeah, it's really like kid by kid basis. I mean, because if we're talking about are we talking about college here?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, so if we're talking about a college level, you have a lot of kids that go in these high programs that do not belong there. They don't belong there.
Not a fit.
They're not. It's not a fit. It's not. They were the star of their high school team and they were so good in high school, but everyone's good in college. Especially you go D1, everyone is good, and there's different like skill set. And, you have a lot of those kids that were over recruited, I would say, and they get to these top programs and they really can't handle it. And it's not, it's not for them, or they were coddled their entire high school. So they're ready to go after 1 year, and those kids should leave and they should go to their levels because it will be better. But then you do have those kids that can fit in those programs and they're just willing to leave right away because, they're not being coddled. Nobody is babysitting them. Mommy and daddy ain't on the phone every day yelling at the coaches because now you're talking about scholarships and no Division I coach is putting
it's
up
like
with
they're
that.
not number one anymore.
Yeah, you're not number one anymore. They don't know how to handle it. And
Yeah.
and for those kids, it's like, for the first time in their lives, they're being hit by adversity and they can't handle it. It's easier for them to run.
Correct.
And they should absolutely, stay because it builds character. And you're seeing that a lot in high school too. Like we've had players that transferred, and it's no harm, no foul. Like we were running a top caliber program, and some people didn't feel like it was a fit because they felt like they weren't playing enough minutes.
Correct.
Or they just felt like, all right, this culture is too much pressure, is too much, it's not for me. We applaud them and you continue to help them out. And, and I've had players that left today that still call me that are still looking for placement in college that I'm still placing them. Cause that's just my character. Like I'm never going to say no to a kid. But I think it's important to like know your fit and know your level. And you just have to be honest with yourself. And there's a lot of people out here that's not being honest with these kids. Like everyone's telling them you're a superstar. Well, not everyone's a superstar.
And you could be a superstar role player.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's important. And when you're on a team where everyone else is good, guess what? You are a superstar role player.
Correct.
Because you can't really see your full potential because you have so many stars around you.
Correct.
But you take, you remove yourself as a star off of a superstar team, then you'll be able to really tell if you're a star or not.
Correct.
So that stuff's important.
But that's a risk. That's a big risk. You on a team. When I was in college, I didn't transfer. I didn't transfer. I had some eligibility issues. I did stick it out, and I have sometimes I have regrets, and sometimes I don't. But it definitely taught me, like, I knew going into college that I wouldn't be able to play right away. So that kind of gives you a little gist of it. But I stuck it out. I knew I wasn't gonna play. I'm like, I'm gonna just stay here because it is. Once you get involved in eligibility issues, now it's easier, way easier. I lost years of eligibility staying in school. So it's just like, I feel like you said, you got to make the best decision for you. And I was honest with myself coming out of high school. I knew my game was Division II, Division III level. Maybe I could cut in the cusp of Division I lower. I knew that for myself, and I didn't take no knock on it. And I feel like it was my fault that I didn't push myself in high school. And I feel like this is what these kids have to do now. If you're not getting the playing time that you feel you deserve, if you feel like you're honestly giving 100%, you working out every day, you got a trainer, you getting better, and the coach just honestly is not giving you no playing time, then I would say yes, go ahead and try to leave and figure it out. But I honestly, in my heart of hearts, I wasn't putting in the work because I expected to get playing time. Oh, I know the coach. He my AAU coach. Mm-hmm. That's a big mistake too, kids. I'm just give you the real. Yeah. Don't let your high school coach also be your AAU coach. Switch it up. Have another coach. Have somebody else that can see your game from a different eyes view.
Well, you can now because it's illegal.
Was illegal, but yeah, when we was growing up, our high school coaches, they may have not been the coaches, but they was in the cusp of it. And I would say, well, now y'all good, but just don't have it so close together. If you play AAU, try to play AAU with a team that helps your weaknesses, and don't go on a team where you're gonna be a superstar and it's easy for you. Try to go on a team where it's gonna be hard for you to play. Sometimes you need that adversity because you go to these big colleges. You think you're just good? They have 3 recruits coming. Yeah. They got a class for 2022, 2023, 2024, 2026.
And they all number one.
And they all number one.
You're just all number one.
They all number one. And at any moment, your time could be up. And how you going to fix that? And I think it's a tough thing for these kids to understand that, like, man, I scored 2,000 points in high school. And I get to this big program and
I'm not playing. Yeah, and nobody's babysitting me.
And my mom can't call.
No, my mom can't call the coach and say, why didn't they play today?
I was in college. I played at I had a good game. I had like 12 points, couple rebounds. I ain't played 3 straight games after that. And my mom like, what's going on? I'm like, this is how college go. Like I done did something. I done did something. Yeah. And you don't even know sometimes it's your body language. It's not necessarily. You could be thinking you working super duper hard in practice. It could be my body language. It could have been I'm on a bench and I'm looking a certain way. All that matters to a lot of these coaches. Your body language, how you carry yourself, what type of player you are. Your social media plays a big factor. Who you are as a person. Yeah. It's tough. It's tough. The transfer portal is like, whew. And I feel like the transfer portal for colleges is making it tough for high school kids as well.
Because they see it and they're doing the same thing.
They see it, but then it's also like
not enough scholarships.
Yeah, not enough scholarships.
So let's talk about NIL real quick for the college players. How do you think that will affect the kids' work ethic and how they approach the game, where now they're getting paid before they even get to be a professional? How do you think that will affect them?
Yeah, I mean, that's a game changer. I think, if you're any high school athlete right now, that's what you should be striving to be number one. It's now, you can get paid for your image, and your social media presence, your work, which, a lot of in the past you haven't been able to. So it's a great opportunity for kids to really take advantage of. And I think it'll change the structure a lot now. I think you'll see a lot more kids go into sports, and I think you'll see a lot more kids take it a little more seriously because now you can profit off of it. And it's a game changer for families, especially if you're a kid in the inner city, and, and you can, you're good and, you continue to be good. And now, it gives you even more motivation to stay on the right path because you can provide for your family the minute you touch a college campus. That's huge.
Yeah.
So off of basketball, you're into real estate. Just touch on what you do in real estate and where people can find you or how they can contact you if they have questions on what you do, how you can help them, stuff like that.
Yeah, write this down.
Yeah, I'm a real estate agent. My broker is Ed Smyers. I'm with Ed Smyers and Associates. You know, and yeah, I mean, we buy houses, we sell them. You know, rental properties as well. So if you're looking, you know, to buy or sell, we have home loaners, you know, nearby in reach, and you know, we can really help people get approved, even if you think like, oh, I might not be able to buy right now, my credit's shot, or this is, you know, affecting me. Like, we have the right people to, you know, put you in the right direction and put you on a plan. So maybe you can't buy tomorrow, but in a month or two, you know, you'll be eligible to buy. So that's also important.
With the market of houses being like astronomically high right now, what advice would you give people if they're in the market to sell or buy, because it's going on so rapidly?
Yeah, so it's definitely a seller's market right now. It's not a buyer's market. You know, but it'll come back down. Like, the market flip flops. You know, so if you have a property, now is definitely, you know, the time to sell. But the important thing to always remember with real estate is you can never lose out on money with real estate. Like, real estate is a forever way to make or save money. You know, people always need a place to live. So no matter if the market is high, you know, if you're in a position to buy, you absolutely should buy, because ownership is key. You know, especially in the Black community. Like, we pay astronomical amount of money in rent, you know, which a lot of people don't even realize that, you know, they can pay that and own a property. You know, and there's so many programs, like first-time home buyer programs, different grants, you know, depending on what city you live in, that help you, you know, get that money to pay for stuff. And a lot of people just don't know that, you know, these programs exist, and other cultures are coming in our neighborhoods and taking advantage of these programs. And that's also a reason why I even went into real estate in the first place, you know, to really educate our people, especially our younger generation, that, you know, don't think like, oh, I have student loans, I have, you know, my credit's bad, I have this, I have that, I will never be able to afford a house. No, there's plenty of ways you can afford a house and be approved for one. You know, you just have to know, like, you know, people just aren't educated enough on it.
That's true.
And, you know, ownership, like I said, is the number one thing right now. Like, you have to own. Like, spending all this money in rent is really not worth it. Like, you're just giving your money away.
Because with rent, most of the time the people own the property outright. So the property most of the time is paid off. So now you're just paying $1,400, $1,500 and it's going to their pocket, right?
Yeah, it's their investment.
It's their investment.
And there's a lot of investments. You know, and like I said, there's a lot of different cultures that are coming in our neighborhoods and buying up these properties for cheap. You know, and renting them, and, you know, they're capitalizing off of people not having the education to know that I can purchase them myself. You know, if you have a property, you hold on to it. You don't sell it to them, you know, because all they're going to do is take it and make, you know, thousands of dollars off of it, where you can do that, you know, yourself. Because like I said, there are a lot of programs that can assist you with that property that you have. But, you know, specifically our Black community are not educated on this at all. And that was one of my number one reasons for getting my license and going into it, to educate people.
Yeah, because if it was me personally, I just always be like, man, I'm gonna just get out on my own, get me a little apartment. And then you realize, like, man, $1,500-$1,600 for a 1-bedroom because you want to be in a quote unquote decent area. So imagine if that person owned that outright. So I'm spending. Oh my God! It just make you
get you a crib.
Yeah,
buy it. Buy.
Because that's just crazy.
Yeah, buy it. Buy it. There's so many proproperties. Buy.
They grandkids getting rich off you. God,
that's how we should do. We got to break the cycle. Somebody got to break it at some point.
Yes.
I got a couple more questions outside of real estate. So, back to basketball, women's basketball in general. How can it evolve or become more popular to the masses? Like, you know, the WNBA has about, correct me if I'm wrong, 10 or 12 teams.
Correct.
How can I saw they was looking into expansion. But how can it be more popularized or just more engaging to watch as a fan, a male fan and also a female fan?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, people have to be willing to invest. Everything nowadays, no matter what it is all about money. The NBA is so successful because of the amount of money that's poured into the NBA and the amount of investors that they have. Sponsorships and different things. You don't have that with the WNBA. Like, you know, they have the least amount of sponsorships, viewers, because to be honest with you, a lot of people say, like, oh, women game just isn't as exciting because a lot of women aren't dunking or, taking their shirts off.
Have y'all been to an NBA? I've never been to one.
I've been to a few.
WNBA game?
It's exciting. But we also are women basketball players and we play basketball. And I love the game of basketball.
Right.
And the dunking part is capped.
I want to go. I want to go to a game.
I just watched the Warriors lose by 40 and I didn't see it.
Yes.
Nobody dunked. And
She said
Curry
that. She said that 5 times.
Steph Curry and Steph Curry shoots threes. He don't dunk.
He doesn't dunk.
Yeah, like, so some of the star players, but let's exclude Giannis because Giannis dunks. But like, I don't get that part. But the money part is very important.
The problem is people going into these WNBA games looking for things that they know can't happen. When you look outside of that, like just the game of basketball, they're very fundamental. Mm-hmm. They run plays, unlike the NBA where it's just pick and roll.
Right.
It's actually basketball. Like that's why I like watching college more than NBA. But
I think a lot of people do.
Watch a playoff game yet.
Yeah.
But I think people have to stop looking at comparing it to the NBA and just look at it for what it is and the game itself, because they play. It's like you said, it's exciting. I went to Liberty games when I was younger. I ain't been to one in a while, but I watch them. So that's my opinion on how it can get better and how people should approach the women's basketball in general.
It takes time. You gotta think. For sure. The NBA, 100 years probably? WNBA 26 26. So if you compare them at both times of 25 years on the NBA and now, it's a little bit similar, but it's going to take time. It's going to take just more people investing in more serious investments, because you got star players from college getting drafted and now they're getting waived off teams.
Right.
So it's just it's
not enough teams.
It's not enough teams. It's not enough roles for players outside of being players. In the NBA, you have former players as coaches. WNBA is coming around to that. So I think it's going to take more time. Hopefully they give it time. You got to think every other sports has a lane: baseball season, football season, basketball season, hockey. WNBA, we're squeezed into like another part of sports, which is like, if you're a baseball fan, you're not going to be like, oh, let me watch this WNBA game, because it's no lane. Yeah. So once I feel like it can get a serious lane and these players don't have to go overseas and make all their money, because let's be honest, these players that's playing in WNBA, they love basketball. They're not playing for the money because unfortunately, they're not making any money.
Anything, yeah.
Any star WNBA player that's playing is for the love of the game, period. And I feel like more people should just watch it and respect it off of that. Because if none of the star players played and they just stayed overseas and made all their money overseas, it wouldn't even be a league.
Right. So my last question for you is, what's some advice you would give upcoming coaches, female coaches, Black specifically? What's some advice you can give them as they're thinking about becoming a coach, and players? What's some advice you would give them?
Yeah, I mean, players, I would say, have a good attitude, be willing to work and stay the course. Don't listen to everyone that's telling you you're good, because 9 times out of 10, they're in it for the wrong reasons. Just put that time in getting better. As far as female coaches, I would say make the right, relationship. That's very, very important no matter what you do in life. You got to network, you got to, know the right people. And I would also say, don't just jump to a program because of their name or because they got all these like really good kids already. I would say take the time to actually develop kids and, and build with those kids. And then, people will come, because development is huge right now and a lot of people aren't being developed. So if you're young and you're trying to get in a game, like if you can really develop kids, and then you build your own championship program, like that only sets you up for the future.
That's a fact.
Well, you heard Miss Sherika
Salmon, however you want to say it.
However you want to say it.
Right.
We appreciate you for coming through. We've been off, like I said, for 5 months. She's our first guest since we've been back. We appreciate y'all for always tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Last but not least, say that camp again, y'all got. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a fan favorite camp. It's gonna be at TCPA. And yeah, we're doing it's the end of June and that first week of July.
What's the ages?
So it's 8th grade all the way up to 10th graders in high school. 8 years old all the way to 10th graders in high school.
Okay. Oh, that's nice.
Looking forward to seeing, you guys sign up for that.
So be on the lookout for that. I'll post it when they post it or share it, Be on the lookout. Thank you again, Sherika, for coming through, allowing us in your space. This is episode 76 of the Playmaker podcast. We out. Peace.
Thank you.
I'm making plays. 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 I'm making playmaker, playmaker, playmaker.
Playmaker, 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 playmaker.